This is a photo from the winter of 1941, and this is the same place in 2004. The mountain is still there, the sky is still there, but the most important part of the picture is what's missing. Because once you notice the missing piece in this image, you'll start seeing it in every photo that comes next. Most of these look harmless. A portrait, a studio still, a strange pattern from space. But each one contains a detail that wasn't understood until years later. And the evidence is rarely something dramatic. It's usually something small, something people didn't think to name, something that slips away quietly. So while you watch, pay attention to one thing. What feels missing? Because that's where the real mystery lives. And by the end, you'll notice the same kind of disappearance hiding in all of them, even the ones taken from space. A face without a name. At first, it's just a portrait, a woman sitting still, staring into a camera that was new enough to feel unnatural. And in those early photographs, people had to hold perfectly still, which means this isn't a candid moment, it's endurance. So what you're seeing isn't just her face, it's her effort, a human being trying not to move, so time can remember her. But here's what makes the image unsettling. The Library of Congress lists her as unidentified. No name, no story, just a record of her existence. And once you notice that, a quiet question appears. If the camera could preserve her face, how did it fail to preserve the most basic detail? Because from here on out, the missing detail changes every image. The look that outlived the life. This next image feels familiar. Another woman, another still stare, another life held inside a single frame, and again, no confirmed identity. Look at what she chose to show the camera, and what she didn't. But look closer at what did survive. The clothing, the texture, the small decisions that were normal to her. Because when a name disappears, objects become testimony. A necklace becomes evidence. A crease in fabric becomes a clue. And the haunted feeling comes from realizing this. She didn't vanish from history because no one saw her. She vanished because the label didn't survive. So now it's not one mystery, it's a pattern. A copy of a lost memory. This one is stranger for a reason. It's a copy of a portrait that was already old when it was copied, which means someone cared enough to preserve her twice. And still, her identity didn't survive, which makes the missing name feel less like an accident and more like a failure. That changes what the photo feels like, because it's not just an unknown portrait, it's proof that someone tried to save her, and time won anyway. And that raises a bigger question that only gets heavier as we go. How many lives are still sitting in archives, remembered perfectly, and yet missing the one thing that would make them real? The scene nobody could label. Now the mystery jumps forward in time. These aren't 19th century portraits. They're stills from film, TV, and music. Images that look like they should be easy to identify. And yet some stills in the archive stayed unidentified for years. Not the people, not the production, sometimes not even the context. Think about what that implies. This isn't ancient history. This is modern media, professionally photographed, mass distributed. And still, the identity slips away. And that's when the viewer realizes something uncomfortable. History doesn't disappear only because it's old. It disappears because the context breaks. When the archive asks for help, this is where the mystery becomes official, because sometimes the archive doesn't solve the photo. It posts it. The Library of Congress has shared mystery photos publicly, asking people to help identify who, what, and where. Which means these aren't just mysteries in our imagination, they're mysteries in the record. And there's something eerie about that. A photo can be real and still be unfinished history. And that's the moment the story shifts. Because the next mysteries aren't missing names. They're missing perspective. Because now the mystery leaves the archive and moves into the sky. Earth that doesn't look like Earth. This next image is real, but it doesn't look like it. And if you had no caption, you'd never guess what you're seeing. From space, Earth can look like a painting, rivers like veins, salt flats like snowfields, blooms in the ocean like spilled ink. You can stare at a satellite image for several seconds and still not know what you're seeing. And that delay is the power. Because in that delay, your brain does something it rarely does anymore. It studies. And once the caption explains it, the image changes. Not because it becomes prettier, because it becomes evidence. proof that reality has patterns we don't notice from the ground. The invisible map beneath the ground. This might be the most confusing image in the set. It looks like a map from another world, but it's Earth, captured in wavelengths the human eye can't see. Instruments like Aster can highlight geological features and surface changes invisible in normal light. Researchers don't study images like this because they're artistic. They study them because they reveal what's underneath. And that's what feels unsettling. Even when the ground looks normal, it might be telling a completely different story in light we can't see. So now the mystery isn't a missing name, it's missing vision. The planet's secret patterns. This next satellite image should be chosen for maximum confusion. The kind of picture where your first thought is, that can't be real. But it is. And that's why these images are powerful, because the mystery isn't created by editing. It's created by perspective. The camera didn't invent something strange. It revealed something that was always there, which brings us back to the first kind of mystery. Not what's present, but what disappears over time. And the next photo proves what happens when the missing thing isn't a name, it's an entire landscape. The mountain that quietly disappeared. Now we return to the image you saw at the beginning. The first photo shows a glacier filling the frame. The second shows the same location, but the glacier is almost gone. There's no explosion and no headline day, just a slow retreat until the glacier exits the scene. The original photographer wasn't capturing a warning, they were capturing a landscape. But later, science looked back and realized the landscape was leaving. And here's the haunted truth. The biggest changes don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they vanish so slowly, we only notice when we compare the past to the present. How time gets proven. The final image isn't just a picture, it's the method that proves what time did. Repeat photography works because it's merciless. Same place, same angle, decades apart. And suddenly time isn't a feeling anymore, it's visible. It's one of the most honest forms of evidence we have, because you don't have to argue it. You see the difference, and your brain understands it instantly. And once you recognize that, all 10 images snap into the same pattern. The evidence isn't always what the photo shows, it's what it can't hold on to. A name that disappears, a context that collapses, a glacier that retreats out of frame. Maybe that's why these photos feel haunted. They're real and incomplete. A face without a name, a landscape that changed without noise. And it leaves you with one quiet thought. Sometimes the future doesn't discover history, it proves it. For more real archive mysteries like this, subscribe to Rapid Rank.